Joining me now is Congressman Steve Scalise, a member of the House Republican leadership and a lawmaker who has faced horrific gun violence himself. Congressman, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Good to see you.
John, good to be with you. Thanks.
So the president did that primetime address last week, and he articulated as his vision for how we move forward from these mass shootings. Listen here.
We need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And if we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21. Strengthen background checks, enact safe storage law and red flag laws.
So let me take what the president said and break it into two main parts. First of all, an assault weapons ban. When you were at that practice for the congressional baseball game, you were shot by a weapon, a very powerful weapon, that would not have been subject to the 1994 assault weapons ban. Yet the shootings that we saw in Uvalde and in Buffalo and in Tulsa, Oklahoma, were committed by weapons that would be subject to that ban. So in terms of that particular issue, what's the best way forward?
Well, John, the best way forward is, first of all, when you have a shooting, instead of sitting down and going, okay, what is really causing this? Why do we see these happening more and more in the last few years? It immediately becomes a debate about taking away guns. And you see Democrats quickly run. In the day of the shooting, they were talking about passing H.R. 8 in the Senate. Go look at H.R. 8. It would have done nothing to stop this shooting. But what they, and by the way, the president himself went even further and started talking about going after handguns in that same speech. And so immediately pushes everybody in a corner instead of sitting down and saying, why don't we look and see if we can find some telltale signs so that there could be intervention? Some communities actually do this. This just happened a few days ago in Berkeley, California. There was a student that was trying to not just shoot, but blow up his high school. And other students found out about it. They alerted authorities, and authorities were able to move and stop it before anything happened. We need to be focused more on stopping things before they happen. This isn't something that we're having a conversation about right now, and it should be. It immediately becomes about Democrats wanting to take away guns. Go look at the hearing that they had last week in Congress. I mean, you had members, Democrats, cursing out the Second Amendment. You had members saying, well, if we can't get this, we're going to blow up the filibuster and pack the Supreme Court to get around the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not some guideline. It's part of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And it's there for a reason, by the way. Every day in America, people use guns to defend themselves. And there are a lot of examples of that, too. So instead of talking about Democrats always wanting to take away the rights of gun owners, law-abiding citizens especially, why don't we talk about the root causes of these problems? And there is some common ground to be found there, John. That's not where the conversation is today, unfortunately. And frankly, I'd like to see us go in that direction.
There may be common ground, but unfortunately, it seems nobody wants to find it. Let me take the second big chunk of what the president said. That's the idea of raising the age to buy one of these long rifles. The man who shot you was 66 years old. Between 1949 and 2018, only 2 of the 30 worst mass shootings were carried out by people younger than 21. However, since 2018, 6 of the 9 deadliest shootings were committed by people who were 21 or younger. So in light of those statistics, what's the best way to go on whether or not to raise the age?
Well, first of all, you could look in California. They had a bill to raise the age in the state of California, and a federal court ruled it unconstitutional. So instead of trying to go down unconstitutional routes, why don't we look at why more young people are doing this? And by the way, in a lot of these school shootings, there is somebody in that school that knew the shooter was going to take action before the shooting. And we did this after September 11th. We got really good about focusing on stopping something before it happens. If you're in an airport today and you see a bag sitting idle, it's not going to be there 5 minutes before somebody alerts authorities. We need to be helping get kids more engaged in alerting authorities if they see something they're concerned about, and let the authorities take action if it's necessary and try to intervene and stop something before it happens, instead of just immediately rushing to go take the rights of gun owners away. I mean, look, you had it just a few days ago in West Virginia. There was somebody, it wasn't at a school, there was somebody with with a rifle illegally that he was a felon, shouldn't have even had it, and he tried to go shoot up a bunch of kids at a birthday party and a graduation, and it was a woman with a concealed carry permit handgun who took down the shooter.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Democrat colleagues of mine who want to take away concealed carry permits, and again, the president himself was talking about going after handguns. There's a case where a handgun was used to take down the shooter. In my case, it was a cop with a handgun that took down the shooter. And so, let's offer our prayers to the victims. Unfortunately, even in moments of silence right now, you've got Democrats sometimes yelling during a moment of silence instead of focusing on the victims. And then let's go search for the root of the problem. How can we do a better job of connecting the dots and stopping something before it happens, like we did after September 11th, which has worked really well as it relates to stopping terrorist attacks. Let's put that kind of focus on schools and young kids, not just at schools. Let's also, by the way, look at hardening schools. There's a lot of common ground there too. My colleague Richard Hudson is working on a package. Others have too, to help harden schools and provide ability for the schools to help kids identify a problem before it can happen. Get that to authorities if you see a kid about to do something bad before they do it.
Congressman, it's a great thought to think that we could prevent all of these things. But as people said after 9/11, when we're trying to prevent a terrorist attack, we've got to be right every time, and they only need to be right once. And we still see people getting through the system, people falling through the cracks. Let me move ahead to what's going on in this country. Because in terms of the developed world, the United States far and away leads every other nation in the developed world in terms of gun violence. Take a look at this graph. The U.S. way out in front with 4 deaths per 100,000 people. The next closest nation is Cyprus, way behind at just below 0.7 deaths per 100 people. What do you think is responsible for that discrepancy?
Well, in a lot of those countries, first of all, you look at America, in the last couple of years, you've seen this crazy defund the police movement, but you've also seen a movement that's been going on for a few years in big cities where the DAs aren't even prosecuting criminals until it is a shooting or a violent crime, and they're letting criminals back out on the streets. And inevitably what you see is higher rates of crime. And what you're also seeing is more and more American citizens, law-abiding citizens, are buying guns to defend themselves. It's happening in every demographic group you can imagine, where you have large increases in people buying guns, because if they can't have faith that their local police department that's been defunded can arrive quickly, or if the DA is going to let the criminal out, they're their only line of defense. So people are buying guns more to defend themselves against crime, but crime is out of control in a lot of big cities. But by the way, if you look at what happened in those cities, you see a lot of the things with the defund the police movement, with letting people out, no cash bail, where they're making it easier for people to commit crimes. Look at the smash and grab crimes. Do you think it's going to end there? If they think they can get away with a crime, they're not going to be charged. They will go on and commit more crimes and worse crimes. It's happened in other places. Let's get back to regular policing.
All right, let's take a look at where the public is on some of these policies regarding gun sales. Do you support or oppose requiring background checks for all gun buyers? 89% of Americans say they support it, 8% oppose it. Do you support or oppose red flag laws? 74%, 21% oppose. You and other Republicans have views about background checks and red flag laws that would seem to run counter to what public sentiment is. So are the views that you and your colleagues hold out of step with where the nation is?
Well, I can assure you that the American public wasn't asked in that poll about components of the bills Democrats are moving through Congress to do those things. So, under the guise of red flag, they take away due process, where they literally can come into your house and take away your gun without you even knowing that there was some kind of proceeding where somebody said, oh, I think that guy might be a threat, so now somebody can go and take away your constitutional right. I don't think people would agree with that. That's not how we deal with rights in America.
But Congressman, if that had happened in the case of the Buffalo shooter, 10 people would be alive today.
Well, again, due process is a constitutional right. If you pass a bill that's unconstitutional and think it's going to solve a problem, again, I point to California. Maybe somebody thought taking away a gun from a 19-year-old is going to solve a problem, it happens to be unconstitutional. So you do have to follow the laws and the Constitution, and again, focus on the root cause of the problem. We are not focusing on the root cause of the problem. The immediate visceral reaction of Democrats in Washington is to go after the rights of gun owners in America, the law-abiding citizens who are using guns to defend themselves. Again, I point to West Virginia just a few days ago. That shooter broke every law in the books. There's hundreds of gun laws already on the books that aren't even being enforced by this administration in some cases. And so this guy's got a gun. He's going out to shoot a bunch of people. He doesn't even, under current law, doesn't have the right to have the gun, yet he's got the gun. Thank God there was a woman with a gun and a constitutional carry permit where she knew how to use the gun and she took the shooter down. If we take away the rights of those people, they're not going to be able to defend themselves from the people that don't care what the laws are. They're going to figure out what they're going to do. In Berkeley, they were using bombs to try to blow up the school. So why don't we focus on the root cause of the problem instead of trying to take away the guns from law-abiding citizens who have a constitutional right to carry it.
We'll be watching closely the action in Congress this coming week. Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to speak with us.
Great being with you, John. God bless.
All right, see you soon.